Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What is up, everybody? We are live right here on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. We are live right here every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at those four amazing locations. You are tuned into yet another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. If you would like to catch video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel, or better yet, check out Heavy Metal Television. That is our main hub. And if you'd like to download audio versions of the podcast, just Google Talking into Infinity, and we are on any audio platform, if I could speak right, audio platform that you can think of. Let me bring on my esteemed co-host, Mr. Brian Hendrickson. What is going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing really good here, man. It's been kind of a busy week for everything. First of all, Dream Theater finally won a Grammy.
That was a little important. That was a little important, I'd say.
Do we even care? I mean, are the Grammys and all that stuff just kind of like beyond stupid at this point, or?
Well, it was interesting to me because, I mean, John was there and the rest of the band wasn't. Whereas, you know, when they were nominated before, like, you know, they were all there. They got their pictures taken and stuff. And this was kind of like, it was almost like they were like, you know, like, we don't think we're going to win. So we'll just, you know, John, you can go and then, you know, represent us and we'll stay at home. And then I think they were all like, holy crap, like, we won. So, yeah, it was cool. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know if how important it is to a lot of musicians. I mean, let's face it. You know, Metallica lost to Jethro Tull, for God's sake. So how seriously can you take it?
Well, with the Queen cover song,
yeah,
which is what's nominated, which was beyond absurd anyway.
And dude, Taylor Hawkins passed recently. You know, rest in peace and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he's great. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But in the in memoriam section, he got so much more time than Eddie Van Halen did when he passed. So it's like, I mean, after that, I can't take it seriously. It's an amazing honor. You know, our buddy Wayne, you know, he posted on Facebook. He's like, holy crap, like it's such an honor to have worked on a video for a Grammy award-winning song, which is really cool. And it's always good to have that tag and that title. But, you know, the Grammys just, they don't really make a lot of correct decisions in the genres of music that people like you and I care about. So it's kind of difficult to, I mean, it's awesome that they recognize Dream Theater. So, you know, maybe they thought the name was coolest this time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, there were some decent songs in there. I mean, I wasn't totally opposed to some of the stuff they had in there, but it's like they kind of throw the hard rock metal world, this bone, you know, just this one single category that they started at the end of the 90s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's been 20 years now, I think, roughly. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was cool. John was definitely excited. I mean, you know, you probably grow up as a musician like that. Like you said, it's a kind of a dream of yours, you know, hey, I'll be up here one day. I got a Grammy, you know, just being recognized for their work. So it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was great, you know, and John, I saw some funny memes that like he's standing like a heavy metal guy. He's got like almost like the power pose. Like that was really cool. And dude, he was excited. And, you know, these guys have put in so much work into what they do. And regardless, you know, of whether or not like we think it's worth a damn, and we're kind of like, yeah, whatever, it is still badass for them. Like when you can walk around and say, yeah, I'm in a band, and then you can, you know, all of a sudden say, yeah, I'm in a Grammy-winning band. Like, that's a major difference for an artist. So, you know, especially, you know, they're, you know, our favorite band. I think it's awesome just for the title part of it. So, you know,
What's your over and under on how many people in that audience even had any clue who Dream Theater was, let alone who John Petrucci was?
I'll do you one better. What's the over under on how many people in the audience knew any of the bands in the metal category?
Probably true also.
Like, all right, so I have to address something here, and I'm going to have you do something on the fly here, Brian.
Okay.
So I'm in Facebook jail again, and I thought we fixed it prior to the show. I'm only in for 2 days. I was not offensive by any means, but Facebook with their stupid-ass algorithms apparently nailed me, and now we were supposed to be live on our Facebook page, and we are not. So I need you to go on our Facebook page and make a post, since we deleted me as an admin so that you could post and say, hey, if you're trying to watch the show, log into YouTube. So go do that, and I'll talk for a second. I can, you know, I can definitely, like, you know, pontificate for a bit here. So Kale McLeish, what's up, man? It's good to see you. He says, is that a golf course as your background, John? Yes, it is. And I'm wearing my, actually, it could be offensive. It's a Chief Wahoo Titleist golf hat. I actually love golf. And today is the first round of the Masters, and it's my all-time favorite sporting event. So, yes, that is Augusta National in my background. I'm just, you know, celebrating, you know, the Masters today. Our buddy Sarcasmo Asholio, awesome, just in time to ruin another podcast. What's up, boys? Good to see you, Sarcasmo, man. It's always good to have you here. Gibson Les Paul, our good friend. Eddie didn't play at Biden's inauguration. Foo Fighters did, so there's your answer. Well, I don't know if it's political. I would hope not, because that would suck, because, you know, you have to respect Eddie, and obviously respect Taylor Hawkins. He's incredible. But when you look at the spectrum of, you know, influential musicians, you're definitely looking at Eddie Van Halen before Taylor Hawkins. So, oh, look at this. Alexander Frick, what's up? He says, hi. A very simple comment, but Alexander, good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping on the show. Hopefully you enjoy yourself here. Here we go. Kale McLeish, oh, convenient. First round of the Masters, and we're discussing the top moments from a master of their instrument. I may or may not have planned that, Kale.
Nice.
I may or may not have planned that. So, all right, Brian, did you post on our Facebook page?
I did. I went on there. I said, for
right.
tonight only, please go to the YouTube page. We're streaming live right now. So anyone who's over there should know to go there. I think most people in general probably stream it there anyway, but we never know, and we like to cover all the bases, you know.
Yeah. Look at Giovanni Pelias here. Good to see you, man. He says, how about that house band trying to play the alien? Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh God, I got to see a clip of that.
Oh, look it up. It was
Show.
It's kind of, you have to listen to, like,
get out of here.
Are they trying to play Dream Theater?
Like, you're serious?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was not
well, they
good.
used to have like a pit orchestra type thing. Was it like that trying to do that, or?
Oh, that orchestra was the Pits, that's for sure. But so getting to tonight's topic, Brian. So this is actually like a rebroadcast, and it's funny that I'm in Facebook jail and we have a problem streaming to Facebook, considering the reason we're having to redo this episode is because I had a problem the first time we tried to do this. Apparently, we are not supposed to do an episode about John Petrucci's best guitar moments, because we just always have these problems. So this is actually the lost episode. If you go on YouTube, you will find it. And my power died in the middle of broadcasting this episode. I think it's episode 14 or 15 or something like that from last year. And Brian had to roll on his own for, God, it had to be what, like an hour, Brian, or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I couldn't log back in. Everything died like within like a couple miles of here. It was a crazy power outage. So I did not post the audio to our audio platforms, but I did leave the video up so that you guys could go see Brian, you know, kind of doing his filibuster thing. And I thought you did a great job. But I thought we had some awesome guitar moments to discuss. And so you and I have always talked about, we got to bring this back. We got to bring this back. And, you know, knowing that the Grammys were coming up a couple weeks ago, we decided let's just revisit this just in case Dream Theater wins a Grammy. And of course, of all things, they win a Grammy. So I think we timed it perfectly.
You
So,
did.
all right, I did not rank mine in terms of any order. I just came up with 10, and I have one honorable mention. How many do you have?
I have 10, and full disclosure, this is my original list. I was going to make some changes, and due to someone who pulled something uncool on me while we were going on another podcast, I did not have time to. Should we tell that story real quick before we get to this, or no? Should we save that till the end?
Let's save that till the end. And
Okay.
we also have to answer Alexander. So Alexander, he says, I'm from Europe. It's 1:30 here. Great guitar moments. What do you think about the new Red Hot Chili Peppers album? Alexander, I think you're kind of tuned into the wrong show for that. I have not listened to it, and we do not talk Red Hot Chili Peppers here, unfortunately. But thank you for tuning in. I know it's like a crazy hour there. Thank you. Brian, 5-second opinion on Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think they're funky. I think they're cool. Not my style, but cool band. Interesting, fun to play live.
Yeah, they're a decent band. I know one of our listeners, Brandon, actually, he posted about some of the new stuff actually being pretty good. But yeah, it's like I hear some songs and I'm like, they're talented and cool, but I'm just not going to sit there and listen to 20 minutes of it,
Yeah.
I did see them live though at the Q, and amazing live show. I mean,
Oh, they're fantastic live.
So much energy. I mean, it was like, yeah, it's like you're worn out after. Well, this was like, I was like 29 when I saw them. Then I can't imagine now. I'd probably be dead after 5 songs. trying to keep up with that. But yeah, great live show. Cool band.
Yep. All right, so our buddy Giovanni Palaya, he's got two takes. Hollow Years live at Budokan version. Enough said. And he also says Bombay Vindaloo. That's a good deep cut, man. Off of live. Oh God, I'm dropping live at with an M. I'm forgetting it. Damn it. I know it. It's off that live record. Live at the Marquee. There we go. What an idiot. So
Live at
Gibson,
the M.
yeah, live at the M. All right, Gibson Les Paul, Red Hot Chili Peppers. No. All right, so Gibson's not a fan. No offense, Alexander. All right, so I'm going to let you lead this one off. So what do you have as your first choice on your best John Petrucci guitar moments list?
I did rank mine at number 10.
Oh, okay.
I have probably start throwing stuff at me. This Is the Life. I love that. It's like a haunting. It's the best word I come up with. It's like a haunting acoustic riff.
Okay.
It just kind of gets in there, just sort of gets inside your bones. And I don't know, it's just, there's something eerie about that riff. And then the solos of it are great. And I don't know, it's just a really, it's sort of Pink Floydish. Obviously we've talked about it before.
Sure.
That vein, but yeah, man, I don't know. That's just one of those where it's like, okay, it probably didn't take very long to come up with that riff, but it's what do you build around that, and how do you build a song around that? We've talked before. Like, there's just such an art in, almost the simpler the riff, the more difficult it is to really do something original and something that you can feel out of that. When something's kind of crazy and stuff, you're like, oh well, that sort of sells itself, But yeah, I love that song. I love all the solos throughout. I love the tone on that, and of course it's on one of my favorite albums, so that doesn't hurt.
Right. Well, Brandon Shuttleworth, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. He agrees with you. He says, yeah, we often forget how great of an acoustic sound Petrucci has as well. Yeah, that one didn't stand out to me. I think it's a great song. It did not make my list. But I do think if you're looking for some great Petrucci moments on the mellower side, I think that one definitely has pretty much everything you would ask for. So, again, it didn't make my list, but I could see why it made yours, especially as you said, you've got a certain bias towards that album. By the way, real quick side note, speaking of Petrucci, I forgot to mention this off the rip. I actually bought the Neural DSP John Petrucci guitar plugin. I'm getting back into like playing guitar and writing and recording, like just for fun. I'm not releasing anything unless, God forbid, I come up with something good, which is the long shot of all long shots. But that plugin is awesome to mess around with, man, and it's not even that expensive. I think it was $171 or something. So if any of you guys are, musicians out there, guitar players, you want to download that, it's really affordable. So, and it's a total blast. So check that out. Definitely something that I would love to be able to play on the Neural DSP John Petrucci plugin, but definitely cannot, is my first entry on my list, which is A Fortune in Lies, the guitar solo. And to me, this is the one that started it all. I think, it's the first song on the first record. It's nothing but shred. Again, it's the one that started it all. It's all his tricks are in there. There's no subtlety here. It's like, look, I can do sweeps. Look, I can do arpeggios. Look, I can do tapping. Like, all the guitar trickery is there. And you're like, okay, right off the rip, the very first song, the very first guitar solo, we can tell that this guy knows what he's doing on 6 strings. So that was I didn't obviously hear When Dream and Day Unite as my first listening experience, but the first time I heard the record, I was like, okay, if this had been my first experience, I'd be like, what the hell? Because my experience was, what the hell, when I did hear it. So I love that song. I love the solo. So for me, I have A Fortune in Lies. Again, mine are not ranked. I just have them in a list. So, Fortune in Lies. So let's go to your number 9.
I figured you'd have at least one from that album, and I figured it would be that one. So
I purposely tried to push past because I know you have no thoughts on it whatsoever.
No, it's cool. No, it's. I mean, I can see why you picked that. Yeah, it is it's an awesome solo. The rest of the song is just kind of, they just
awesome.
They haven't grown into the incredible songwriters they're going to be, but it's cool for what they were and what they did at the time.
So Harrison Miller chimes in. Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. He says, well, The Alien must be Petrucci's best moment because the Grammy people are geniuses. We love sarcasm on the show, Harrison. We love sarcasm on the show. So, all right. So number 9 on your list.
Well, sorry. I'm going back to the same album. I mean, there's no way I can leave Breaking All Illusions off, right?
Oh, no. Yeah.
I mean, the second that song starts, and it just never really lets up, except for a few times when, kind of my young sort of grooves and takes over a little bit, but that's just relentless. Like, just every note perfectly placed, every melody just keeps building and building and building, and changing tempos and changing moods and changing dynamics. And I don't know, the solos on it are phenomenal. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, what else can I say about Breaking All Illusions? We're getting to the point on some of these songs, like, I don't even know what to say about them anymore. But that's just one, just right out of the gate, you're in for this sweet as hell. Was it 11.5-minute ride or whatever it is?
Yep. Yeah, it goes to show how much I love the other stuff on my list because I don't have Breaking All Illusions. I would totally agree with you. That song just is so phenomenal. Nice. I'm trying to read notes and talk at the same time. It's so phenomenal because, the melody is there, and, it's just, it never stops. No matter what he's doing in the song, there's no drop off in the melodic content. And he's always got melody and everything, but there are songs that drop into a heavy riff here or there, or it gets proggy here, and this one gets proggy and stuff, but you can pretty much sing along to every guitar part in the song. And that is just fantastic. I mean, this is such a standout song, and it's one of those, like, we're going to beat this dead horse forever on this show, but that is like a perfect Dream Theater song. So Gibson Les Paul agrees with you, by the way. He says, yeah, Brian and I are in lockstep so far. Emotional Petrucci is tough to beat.
Wow, this is like the first time we've ever that's ever happened, I think.
I think
the one that's trying to get me to come to New Jersey.
Look at you trying to get him to double down on his invite. Yes, he's the one. Yep. Robert Reames, good to see you, man. He says, a little late, but John, no H in John, buddy. Let's get the spelling right there. Loving the Titleist hat and the Masters backgrounds. Awesome. Respect. I watched all day, literally from 11 a.m. until this show. Robert, I did the exact same thing. I literally turned the ESPN broadcast off 5 minutes before we jumped on. So I had to respect the Masters tonight. So, all right, my next one on my list. Again, this one should not be a surprise, but the test that stumped them all, the guitar solo. Honorable mention: the riffs in the song are also amazing. But dude, when he grabs that first note. It's my all-time favorite Petrucci moment. It's my all-time like when he just grabs, because there's that like key changes type of part that he's soloing over, and it just is an accent of all accents right there. And I have always loved it. The very first time I heard 6 Degrees, I was like, whoa, that was awesome. And every time I've heard it since, like live or not live, like, man, I just love it. You know, it just sounds like he's grabbing the neck and just digging it like it's like weightlifting with the fretboard for that note. And it is one of his, shorter solos, but there is so much attitude to it. There is so much crammed into such a short period of time there, and I love that. And I love that he's able to do that. So that is a huge one for me. And I know you and I have talked about that. One of our original audio intro for the audio version of the podcast has that solo, in there because I love it that much.
Yeah, that's just a ridiculous guitar exercise in guitar wizardry, I guess is the word for it. I mean, I don't even know how a human being can play that fast and still play, with a sense of melody and a sense of heaviness. And because when you think about it, really, the faster you play, it's probably the less heavy it is. But I don't know. It's just the way that Petrucci can pull it off. The stuff can still stay super heavy and, and give you that bite to it, even though he's playing 4 million miles an hour and, just putting all these little, just cool things together that you're like, how'd you decide to go from here to here to here, and how did it work? You know what I mean? Like that's just one of those songs like that. And it is, I think it's perfect the way it is. Like something like that, you try to drag that out 6-7 minutes or whatever, it doesn't work. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's a perfect length for the way they did that.
Yep. Totally agree. Giovanni, he says, can't say enough great things about A Vision from the Majesty demos. So good. Giovanni, were you the one that was trying to add A Vision to our epics ranking list? I think that's the case. Gibson Les Paul. Over under is 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on John picking the Out of Reach melody. Nice.
Well, if you truly were ranking them, it would probably be about 10 minutes. I would say I'd take the after on that. But if you're not ranking them, it's probably coming before then.
Maybe it's not on my list at all. I have a few surprises on here.
Yeah, right.
So, Nick Brayman, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Fatal Tragedy main riff is one of my favorites. So, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. All right, your number 8.
One of my staples. No, and I'm not putting any shockers in here. So if anyone's like worried about that, I got Root of All Evil. Sometimes
really?
I
Okay.
take flack for this sometimes because everyone thinks I picked it like too early in the draft and all this and that. But man, I just love that grind. Just a simple metal groove and the accents on it and stuff. And I don't know, man, it's just like a whirl, you just feel like you're just being spun around when that thing just, I don't know. It's just like, it's like a whirling dervish of a riff, I guess is, I don't know. It just gets inside you. And then when they slow it down, they go ding, 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 ding. You know what I mean? They start muting it more and chunking it up. And I don't know. And then the chorus on the song is great. And just one of my favorite riffs for something that really is kind of simple for them, I guess, for lack of a better word, huh?
Well, I think it works really well because you're coming off the back of, a Train of Thought, and that is just an ass kicker of an album, and you're used to this just drop tune, grinding, ass kicking style, and the Root of All Evil has a great riff, and it's a kind of a simplistic like single note, like which is cool, and it kind of like harkens back to a train of thought, but it's in a a more accessible, I hate to use the word accessible, but accessible tuning to the ear. It's a more quote unquote normal tuning, and it is a little more upbeat than what you had on Train of Thought. So I could totally see why you're into that, because you're not as big a fan of the heavy stuff as I am. So for me, Train of Thought, I was like, hell yeah. So for you were probably ready for something a little on the lighter side. And I think The Root of All Evil is a great bridge between what Octavarium was and what Train of Thought was. So I can definitely see why you're really into it. And it is a great riff. It's one of their best riffs to me anyway. Like as a solitary guitar riff, I just think it's cool because it's got that power to it. And like you said, when they dropped the and again, it's something that I have a personal connection to, having seen it at Score. It was awesome when they kicked in and you hear that riff, and then James comes out. You're like, yeah, dude, like it was cool. So, yeah, I'm totally into that. So, my next one,
Giovanni has a question there.
Oh, alrighty. So, wait, question or a comment? I'm seeing a comment.
Well, it's kind of both. It says, "Are John's solo albums off the table?" Yeah, they actually are for this exercise. We already kind of did our solo episode, so go back and
our John solo album's off the table. Glasgow Kiss is killer. It is killer. But Giovanni, we are actually keeping it to Dream Theater material only, because, I mean, let's be honest. If we just wanted to talk about great John Petrucci moments, we would just sit here talking about every goddamn Dream Theater song there is. So
or every song
nerd
on
out like
the
that.
2 solo albums.
Yeah.
This is a cool riff here. Oh, did you hear this one? Oh, what about this one? Oh, this one's good too.
Brandon Shuttleworth says, with The Root of All Evil, it's also amazing how Jordan and John blend together. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Yeah, I mean, they do a great job on that record. That Octavarium is a really interesting record to me for that reason, and we'll get into that, at a later date on a different episode. But I would agree with that completely, Brandon. So the next one on my list, I have an entire song. I have Our New World from The Astonishing. Every riff is a singable passage. The main riff is so memorable. It just has all of those giant, lush, memorable Petrucci chords that you find in all of the upbeat, like, yeah, this makes me want to run through a brick wall type of Dream Theater songs. The solo is one of the ones that just absolutely sticks with you. And it's the whole thing to me has always felt like really uplifting. And I know it's not the closing song on The Astonishing, but it feels like the perfect kind of like, exclamation point at the end of The Astonishing. Like to me, it's always felt like the end, the end of the story to me. And then the last couple are just kind of like the coda. So I love Our New World. That riff is so catchy to me. The whole song, again, is just on a record full of pieces and on a record full of stuff that's not meant to be individual songs. It's supposed to be listened to as a whole. Our New World is the one thing that stands out to me, is like, okay, you can just play this as an individual song at a show and it will be awesome.
That album really, really, really needed a song like that where it came there. Like, I think without that song, that album would be considerably rougher for me, as much as I dig kind of what they were doing and stuff and appreciate it. Like, you really needed something like that, in there with where the guitar's driving it with a hard rock guitar riff. Like, I don't know, you really needed something like that at that point in the album after you had all that other stuff. And just you hear that opening riff, and like I said, it's I don't know, it's upbeat. It's like a major key, it's an upbeat thing, and they don't do a lot of stuff like that starts in a major key like that. It's like
right.
So I can actually show comments here. Sorry.
Okay.
We have Robert Reames. The best is the Arpeggios and the Glass Prison by JP and Jordan. Nothing much better than that. Yeah, it's pretty hard to like go, oh, why would you put something like the Glass Prison on this? Yeah, that's a pretty obvious one. I thought about putting it on here too. I don't know if it made your list. It didn't make mine, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great musical moments in that one.
I have some surprises coming up. So we'll see. Kale McLeish, she says, Our New World, good choice. That blew my mind live in 2017. So inspirational and uplifting. And then we get a run of comments. Robert Husted, he says, no one in their right mind would pick Repentance. LOL. By the way, I owe Robert Husted a monstrous apology because I mentioned that he's basically family to me, and, you know, his sister is married to my best friend in the last show. And I said that in relation to Robert Reames. It's not Robert Reames. No offense, Robert Reames. It's Robert Husted, who's basically my brother-in-law for all intents and purposes. So, Robert Husted, I apologize for that. So, yeah, Gibson Les Paul says, I don't feel the Repentance solo at all. And he also says, anyone picking Repentance? No. I have surprises on my list, I hope, but that ain't one of them. So, all right. Your number 7, Brian.
My number 7 is going to Images and Words, Under a Glass Moon.
Okay.
I have
Good choice.
the whole song.
Really?
Specifically, second verse, guitar tone changes up to clean sounds and little noodling parts in there, little just those little kind of broken things that he's so great at. So we talked before about, well, we'll say that for later, but we're just discussing music in general. When you change up the second verse by doing something different on the guitar, you know, maybe changing it up a little bit different vocally or different on the keyboards or however you're doing it. It's very evident that Dream Theater takes a ton of pride in constructing songs in that way. And when you do that, it just makes a night and day difference. I think when you go back and listen to these songs too, you're like, oh my God, well, the second time they did it this way, they did it this way. It's just so musical. Yeah, it's just such a great palette of colors that you get when you get to hear songs like that.
Yep. So real quick, Alexander Frick, I really think he's on the wrong show. He says, tell me one memorable song from Dream Theater. We won't address that, but you guys in the chat have at it. Let Alexander know what you think is a memorable Dream Theater song. And Alexander, we appreciate you tuning in, but again, you might be on the wrong show. So
Californication or probably Under the Bridge.
Yeah. Suck My Kiss.
He's probably messing with us.
It might be.
Is that John Myung again?
It is. We're getting trolled by the DT camp.
Did you hear what John Young said about it, the Grammy? It's like, so you guys just won a Grammy? Okay. It was either that or yes. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. I started writing down these famous John Myung quotes. One of them was, so, no. All right, let's continue this.
Yeah, if we ever do get the guys on, they're gonna be like, so we heard you talking about John Myung. We're like, shit, there goes our future.
I'm sure no one's ever like joked with them about that before. Ever. This is a first.
All right, so it is 8:03 p.m. So the 8:15 p.m. bet was wrong. Wow. My next one is Out of Reach, the guitar solo in the beginning. So I really think it's one of John Petrucci's most beautiful and perfectly understated solos. Even to the point where, you know, you hear there's a little click when he like kind of like, he just hits that little, he pulls real quick before he hits the first note, which is awesome. Literally the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? It was the most memorable thing from the Distance Over Time record for me the first time I listened to it. And it has stuck with me ever since. And, you know, the harmonics, just the way he like lets the decay happen. Like, I love it. Something about that just spoke to me immediately. And it continues to speak to me to this day. It's just beautiful. That whole song is just absolutely underrated to me. And that solo at the beginning, it's just awesome. It's, I mean, that would be, if I was ranking, this would be so near the top for me. It would, this would be like in the running for number 1, I think. So,
Yeah, I feel like, and it's weird to say this because he's completely responsible for the astonishing, but I feel like when they got to doing Distance Over Time, it came to, okay, now I can go back to doing every incredibly cool electric guitar melodic thing I possibly want to do, and I'm going to put it in every damn song on the album. And it's obvious he did that. And I'm going to be curious when we finally do get to rank all of our albums, because it feels like every other week I talk to you, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't know, I just felt like putting on Distance Over Time again.
Yeah.
Like in the last, like, I don't know, 3 months or something, you're always like, yeah, I just went back to it again, and I went back to it again. Like, I don't know, man. I'm starting to think you're gonna have that one pretty damn high. Like, I thought you were gonna have it high before, but now it may be. I'm not gonna make a prediction. Well, I'll tell you what after we do the episode where I thought you probably would have it once we get there. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty damn high up on the list, I think.
It's up there, man. I mean, I love that album. All right, so Alexander Frick, our chat guests who are amazing. They're giving you some excellent songs to choose from. If you're looking for some catchy Dream Theater, Gibson Les Paul says, Alexander, check out Repentance and Ministry of Lost Souls. So those are good choices. And Robert Husted says, try Space Divest, Alex, the famous Dream Theater song. So yeah, those are some good selections for you, Alexander. So
all right, no, here's an actually serious one. Oh, and for my favorite album too, Nick Bremen. I've always loved the guitar riff and craziness in Outcry. That one always stood out to me. Yes, I love Outcry. Very underrated song.
Do you have Outcry on your list? I know you have a top 10 list and 9 of them come from Dramatic Turn of Events, but is Outcry one of them?
Well, if it's my turn, I'll go to my number 6.
It is your turn.
I actually have one of yours. I have Tested Stump Them All is my number 6.
Oh, nice. You should have brought that up when I talked about how great it was.
Well, no, I figured it's better to like kind of save, for the suspense of it and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, we already pretty much hammered this one on the head. Yeah, it's just a relentless, 2 minutes and 38 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
I just always wonder, like, okay, when they're sitting around, like, especially Petrucci, like, okay, does he have, like, because I know, like, Mark Tremonti supposedly, like, records all these riffs and he, like, categorizes them, like, okay, I've got 35 bridges here, I've got 40 choruses, I've got 25 main riffs, and that's kind of how, from what I understand, from what he's talked before about how he and Miles write, they do some spontaneous stuff too, but a lot of times it's like, hey, Miles, help me put these together. Like, does he have a piece of music like that just sitting around somewhere, or it's like locked inside the vault there, and it's like, oh, we're gonna do this, so it's gonna come out for this, you know what I mean? Because it's just such a bizarre composition. I don't know how to explain it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I think it's an interesting point, because I think what you're talking about is, you have a guy like Eddie Van Halen who, infamously has miles and miles of tape in the walls of 5150, and he can always, call from that. But Dream Theater, like, they write spontaneously in the studio, or so we're told. They get in the studio and they just write on the fly. So, I mean, your question is excellent. Like, do the guys have, a tape vault like Eddie did? Like, oh, I wrote this thing at home and it's really cool. Like, I remembered this. Like, did they listen to it here and there, and then something will spark their memory of that when they're writing the new record? Like, I think that's a great question. Write that one down, because if we ever get the guys on, like, that would be a kick-ass question to ask. Like, is it really 100% spontaneous, or do you guys actually have some things that you record and you remember, and you've got snippets in your head? You're like, man, I wrote this really cool riff and I really want to bring this out sometime. So, are you actually writing it down as we speak?
You told me to.
Wow, good for you.
Wait, what am I writing down again?
That's fantastic.
I just started writing. John says write something down.
Yeah, write something down. All right, so my next one on my list, and you're going to completely disagree with this, but as a guitar moment, I think it's awesome. So I'll be interested to see what the chat thinks. I have basically the entire song of Viper King. Technically, I have the main riffs and the solo. I just think that is something they've never done, that like vintage Deep Purple sound and that type of rhythm. I mean, that main riff is nasty, dude. It really kicks in. You know, the alternating picking parts sound awesome over the groove that they're laying down. And, you know, it's doing that, you know, the riffs and the verses they're heavy and they're grinding. And then the chorus is just like full chords, like Brandon Shuttleworth, Brian, the official secretary of Talking Into Infinity. Nice. Yeah, but I mean, the solo has a very bluesy feel to it. And I mean, is that like an envelope you would call it on the sound of it? It's got that weird kind of effect. I'm terrible with like the actual specifics of, you know, effects and whatnot, but whatever it is, the sound on the solo itself is really, really cool. So I really dig Viper King. I know you're not a fan because you're not a fan of the lyrical content, but I love it.
No, I'm cool with it being on the list. I mean, guitar wise, like you said, it is really, really, it's, you know, like something that you hardly ever do. And just a lot of awesome sort of 70s rock riffing going on there with, you know, crunchiness and everything else. And, you know, a little bit of feel of maybe some Satriani, Satch Boogie-ish things going on sort of here and there. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a great guitar song. I just, lyrically, you know, and then we laugh about, oh, it's a bonus track. Like, I don't know. It's,
yeah,
I guess it's one of those, like, kind of like a Space Dive Vest. There's going to be some people that love it and some people that don't, you know. But I understand what they're trying to do, and I'm definitely not going to question the guitar stuff on it.
Okay. Gibson Les Paul disagrees with me. He says, not feeling Viper King at all. It's Deep Purple-esque, but the chorus sounds like Another Piece of Meat by Scorpions. I don't get the Another Piece of Meat chorus off of that. I don't.
There's a Scorpions vibe. I'm wondering if that's the right song.
I don't
understand what he's saying, but
yeah, I get where you're going, Gibson. I don't think Another Piece of Meat is the chorus you're looking for, at least to me. Go figure, you and I disagree on something again. But yeah, all right. Gibson is not feeling it. Brandon Shuttleworth, definitely a throwback to the 80s style guitar riffs. And Cale McLeish wants to jump in real quick. He says, can I please bring one up that I kind of doubt anyone will have at all? Yes, Brian, do yours next, and then Cale, bring yours up after Brian does his next one.
All right, I have the most boring and no point in even bothering talking about it whatsoever. But Metropolis.
Well, that's on my list, so we'll just knock that one out right now.
Yeah, I wrote down once again, like, after all the crazy soloing, I love all those really cool, clean, you know, those quick, like, clean strums he does. And James is bouncing vocally, you know, back and forth off of those. I don't know. And then it goes into the main driving heavy riff. I mean, what can I sit here and possibly say about Metropolis anymore? I mean, we this came up on an episode of like Epics, and we're like, all right, Metropolis, next song. So I'll let you expound on it more.
Yeah, I actually have the bridge section because I think it's for me it was a little obvious to call out the entire song. So for me, the bridge section, because for me this was basically like the first holy shit moment on the record. Like you had stuff from Take the Time and solos and Another Day and Pull Me Under, but this was that. I mean, like that is like the very first, like, oh my God, this is wow, yeah. This is possible. Gibson Les Paul. Cale is gonna pick Vacant.
Sorry, comments are too good not to put up.
That's
I just
awesome.
see if I can rattle you while you're talking.
You're not gonna rattle me, man. But there's unison parts between the bass and the keys and guitars. Man, it's just awesome. The guitars and the riffing parts go from straight up rock parts to that goofy computer sounding like chitter chatter type thing. Like,
yep.
Man, it is just, it's got everything. It's, again, it's that first holy shit moment on that record. Like it's what, a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, and you're like, what the hell just happened? So yeah, I would agree with you in terms of Metropolis. Kale is.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
I said I feel like if they remade Groundhog Day, like I'd want to just wake up instead of Sonny and Cher. You know, I just want to wake up to Metropolis like every day. Like, like if I literally had one song, and I can only pick one song, and it has to be the same song every single day the rest of my life. Like when I wake up in the morning, I think it might be Metropolis. Why the hell not? What else? What the heck else song is it going to be?
It is really funny that you mentioned that, because my next one will be a song I actually do wake up to every single day. So before we get to that, Kale, his selection is The Way It Used to Be from the Falling Into Infinity demos. You get his U2 style, you get a bit of slide in JP's first solo, some great bluesy shred in the outro, and just a lot of great riffing throughout. I love it. That's a difficult one for me, because I can hear in the Falling Into Infinity demos why the label did not accept those songs for the record. I enjoy them, Kale, but I think it's the sound of a band trying a little too hard. So that is such a weird listen for me. The Falling Into Infinity demos. I mean, I'm going to buy that on vinyl for sure. I'm trying to get all the Dream Theater stuff on vinyl and all the Van Halen stuff on vinyl. I'm not digging as deep as, all the, re-releases of, the new stuff they're putting out from the Yitz Jam catalog, but I will get the Falling Into Infinity demos just because Falling Into Infinity is my favorite record. But man, those songs, Kale, like that didn't make it. You can hear why they didn't make it. So that's a difficult one for me. So, Gibson Les Paul, he says, the ending solo in the Best of Times needs to be mentioned. It's so good. It's breathtaking. I do have some surprises on my list. That's not one of them. That is not on there, but nice try, Gibson. So the next one on my list, Brian, the one that I wake up to every morning is Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen.
Not what
Cut me off in the middle of the song title.
Wait, stop.
Yeah.
Not what I thought you were going to say.
Yep. Hell's Kitchen would be my number one. It's my all-time favorite Dream Theater instrumental. It has a phenomenal build to it. It just goes up and up and up and up and up. It just keeps layering. The way that it ends with the repeating pattern is cool. It's low, then high, then low, then high, harmony out. It's very atmospheric. It's emotional. And it's really cool to me to picture in the middle of Burning My Soul where it was originally placed. So that part of it's always been really interesting to me, but something about that it grabbed me more than any other instrumental they've ever done. And I do have, that is my alarm that I wake up to every morning. So I absolutely love Hell's Kitchen. And when I saw it live a couple times, I just about lost it. I was like, yes, Hell's Kitchen. So that's the one that's next on my list. What are your thoughts on Hell's Kitchen, if you have any?
Well, first of all, I knew it was going to be Falling into Infinity, but I thought it would be Trial of Tears. So you stumped me on that one. Yeah, no, it's one of my more favorite. Is that even a word?
Favoriter.
Yeah, it's one of my more favoriteest of the instrumentals. Yeah, I like pretty much everything that's going on in that. It's pretty unique to them, and I don't know how it would work on really a lot of the other albums, but I think it sits well where it is, and sits well in on that album.
Sure.
So, all right. Next on my list, I have The Looking Glass.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like Rush, but we don't care because it sounds so damn cool.
Thank you.
I don't care that it sounds like Rush. I think it's just an amazing riff. Like, I don't know, even the production on it. Like, I don't know. It sounds like it could have, like they could have lifted it off the recording off of Moving Pictures or something. Maybe other than maybe the way the drums sound. But yeah, there's the guitar and bass and stuff. I don't know. Just a super cool, fun little. It's upbeat too, you know. It's like got some major key stuff going on in there, and oh, just a fun, just kind of one of those fun, happy riffs, you know.
Yep. Well, it's you mentioned Rush, and it's like, Transcending Time has had that accusation, leveled against it, and who cares?
Yeah.
It sounds great. I mean, you and I, shameless plug, we were on an episode of Discography Discussion, an amazing music podcast you guys have to check out. We were on Discography Discussion last night. It'll be coming out probably in the next week or two, and we did a run through of the career of Symphony X, and we hit on a few things that were obviously lifted from Dream Theater, but you know what? It's like, who cares? Like it's cool. Like if you throw those influences in there, and sometimes if it's a little shameless and obvious, like who gives a shit? It's fun, it's good, and it's only for a few seconds. It's not like you're lifting like 3 minutes of a 6-minute song. So, I think again, Transcending Time and The Looking Glass, perfect examples. Super Rush-esque, but it's done so well. And it's a great nod to the band that influenced them the most. So I think it's fantastic.
We got something from the new album here.
There we go.
Gibson Les Paul. Go ahead.
Sorry, Gibson Les Paul says, to bring up something off the most recent album, the unisons near the end on Answering the Call are awesome. Yes, very much so. It's funny, Gibson. Like I did not have anything on my list from the new record because the new record was not out when when we made our lists. And when I went back and listened to the new record, I specifically did that earlier today to see like, okay, can I replace something that I had earlier with something on the new record? And I didn't find anything to replace. And there's a ton of amazing guitar stuff on the new album, but there wasn't something that I wanted to bump something off, in place of. So, good call. Nick Brayman, he says, hopefully The Mirror and Lie is also on someone's list, 100% on Hell's Kitchen. Strangely enough, I don't have The Mirror and Lie. I know, Brian, you wouldn't because you're not nearly as big a fan as I am of those songs. I love those songs, but I actually don't have those on there, Nick. And the reason is because as dominating and brutal as the riffing on those songs are, it's not one of those things that you could say no other guitar player can do that. There's just something different about the way Petrucci does that. Like no, you could see another band kind of getting into that type of groove. So for me, while they're excellent and amazing, and I go back to them all the time, I don't have them on my list. So I don't have that. But what I do have next on my list, I have the solo on The Best of Times. So F you, Gibson. So yeah, seriously, Gibson, all kidding aside, I do have The Best of Times on here. Great call on that. It's, the song itself, I can't say I'm like the biggest fan of. We've gone over this before, but it's cool how it ends on it ends on this gigantic Petrucci emotional roller coaster solo. It's like you can almost, in my notes it says like you could feel like you could picture this solo at the end of a movie when someone dies and there's the whole funeral thing. This would be what they would play as the casket is lowered into the ground. Like the person's like a really good dude, and you're like, oh, it sucks that they're gone. Like it's uplifting but sad. Like, I mean, the emotion in that solo is wonderful. It's so good, and it's almost like. It's almost kind of like, Take Away My Pain. Like Petrucci, he wrote that strictly, about his dad, but then Petrucci writes this solo, about Mike Portnoy's dad. It's like he didn't have that personal connection like he did for Take Away My Pain, but you wouldn't know it because the emotion's all there. So, and I think it's one of those rare album moments where they do what seems to be one of their extended live jams, almost like a show-ending live jam, and it totally works on record. Because every once in a while, they'll get into that extended, lengthy thing at the end of a song. You're like, okay, well, that seems to be a little bit too much, and this one just works perfectly. So, and the other thing I will say about this song, by the way, Brian, honorable mention to the acoustic guitar solo at the beginning. It is the simplest thing ever, but man, it is so full of feel. Like I can tell you exactly where I was when I heard that the first time. I was on Hamilton Road driving going towards a golf course out by me, getting ready to, go play 18 when I first heard that. And I can tell you exactly where I was, like what house. It stuck in my mind that much. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. So I'll give a honorable mention shout out to the acoustic part in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a cool song. I love how it goes. The best of times are when I'm alone with you. Like the harmonies on that. Like I love and then like the someday come shine. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool guitar parts too, man.
Oh, you're awful, man.
No, it's an awesome I don't know, what is that, like a 3-minute solo at the end or something? I mean, it just kind of
it goes
on. Like, I mean, it just
goes.
sort of never ends, and it just keeps soaring melodically and stuff. And
well, I think it's a perfect example of one of those times when it's something they do that is, if you actually looked at the time it takes them to get through that piece of music, in a vacuum, you'd go, do you really have to solo for 3 minutes? But then when you listen to it, you don't realize 3 minutes has passed because it gets melodic and you're like, oh man, this is really pretty. And then it builds to this better part. You're like, wow, oh my God, and then it builds to another part. You're like, holy crap, like, wow, this is great. And before you know it, you're through 3 minutes and you're just like, wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
well, Gibson Les Paul picked a great one here.
Okay.
One of my favorite songs. John's electric melody on Through Her Eyes is wonderful, but even better on live scenes. I do not really know the difference. There's a note in there that he holds a tad longer than he does on Scenes from a Memory. It's so good. Yeah, what a sweet, incredible melody in that song in general. And then the electric guitar takes over and starts soaring on those notes, man, that's a great choice.
Yep. I have to pull out that one part of the comment, Brian. He says there's a note in there that he holds a tad longer than he does on Scenes from a Memory, and it's so good. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about, Gibson, and you are spot on that. And I mean, let's face it, live scenes is basically perfect from start to finish. Right down to the very last sentence, James says, sorry about the short set. I mean, they played like 4 hours or something like that night, and, excellent call on that, Gibson. Giovanni, he says, I know it doesn't count, but John's cover of Purple Rain is phenomenal. You can find it on YouTube. I am not a Prince fan, and his solo stuff or non-Dream Theater stuff does not count, but Giovanni, you are spot on. He puts so much feel into that cover of Purple Rain. It's insane. So I completely agree with you. Cale McLeish, this is another good one, man. He says, the solo in Best of Times makes me think of Slash shredding outside the church in the November Rain video. Just instead, it's Petrucci. That is an awesome analogy, Cale. That is an awesome analogy. That is definitely a very visual type of a solo, and I think, your comparison is spot on. All right, Brian, so what is next on your list? You know what's awesome, Brian, is when I love when you have all this amazing input, and yet you put yourself on
practicing. Mute. Okay, let's practice. Hold on, I'm going to practice again.
For the love of God, it's like our 35th episode or something, and you still can't get that mute button right.
Okay, mute. Yes, I have the song that surprised not only our entire listening and viewer audience last episode, it surprised you. In the Presence of Enemies.
Wow. Okay.
Part 1.
Okay.
It's actually 2 songs.
I was waiting for it, man.
Yeah, man. I just love that main opening riff, and then the guitar kind of plays it on its own. Like it plays it with everything else, then it takes it on its own, and just I don't know, man. Is there a dull guitar moment in that song ever?
No.
I mean, no.
No.
Is there a wrong choice rhythmically, melodically, anything that even goes on in that song? No. Yeah, I had to put, especially after how much love I'd shown for it last week. But actually, I did not change this list. I did have it originally number 2, and it's gonna stay there.
All right. Well, I have 2 left as well, and again, mine are not ranked. By the way, Gibson Les Paul is about to get banned. He gets banned from the chat more than anybody on this show in history. He says, side note, there's a video of Slash butchering the hell out of the Crazy Train solo on YouTube. Not good. Gibson, we do not disparage
John. So anyway, I actually have now. I do now have the power to ban John's voice, and we don't have to look at him either. You're actually 100% right, Gibson Les Paul. Actually, I have no idea what you're talking about.
How about that, you jerk off? I can bring myself back in, and I can also do that. There you go. Now you're out, you ass. So there you go. Oh my God, so many shenanigans on this show. Yeah, Gibson. I mean, I've seen that, but to me, Slash can do no wrong. I've seen him live many times with his solo stuff, and he's absolutely fantastic. And he's my wife's hero, like mine is Eddie Van Halen. So I really can't bag him. So
you should walk up to him and be like, "Excuse me, Saul Hudson. Do you remember the time on YouTube you were playing the wrong notes to Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, the solo?
Exactly.
Mr. Hudson, what were you doing?"
Look at Kale. Holy crap, it's a mutiny. We're turning on each other, man. What can you say? All right, so I have 2 left. So let me think. If I had to rank these 2.
Yeah, you're good. I don't think I need to hear your last 2, to be honest. All right, do your last 2.
All right, look, you ass. Just because you're drinking tonight because you had a bad tax bill, don't be taking it out on our viewers / listeners.
There's not enough alcohol right now to cover that tax bill. Trust me.
A little behind the scenes moment there, guys. All right, so my last 2 are full songs. So since you ranked yours, you know what? I'm going to do both of mine and leave your number 1 for last because you actually took the time to rank them. So my last 2, I'll go. Let me see if I had to rank them 1 to 2. Number 2 for me would be Constant Motion, the whole song. It's a perfect song title. The guitars never stop moving. The whole song is busy, and it is definitely one of John Petrucci's best metal riffage displays. He just, man, I mean, dude, those busy riffs under that high bird-like vocal, like, when it, like, that just kicks ass. And again, the whole song is so busy, but the chorus is just strumming chords and getting it like I mean it's so simple, and yet the rest of it is just busy. I love that. So I'm a huge fan of that. My number 1, if I had to rank between 1 and 2 on these 2, The Dark Eternal Night. I don't know how. If this is not your number 1, Brian, I guess I could understand why, but The Dark Eternal Night is a John Petrucci clinic. It's got everything you love about Petrucci. I mean, it doesn't have like the bright spots and the melodic solos, I guess, but you know, I want to ask a question. This is my very first note. Is this Dream Theater's heaviest song ever?
I think we kind of agreed that it was.
Okay.
So yeah, I think so. I mean, from start to finish, it's pretty much relentless. So yeah, I would say yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's constant heavy guitar all the way through. I mean, it literally never lets up. Even in the melodic parts of the chorus, it's dark. No pun intended, by the way. The middle part is just all kinds of brutal guitar goodness, man. Oh my God, I love this song. The alternating picking part over the double bass, it just chugs like crazy. And the end riff, with the continuum solo, I mean, what the hell? What more can you say? So those are my last 2. Brandon Shuttleworth, he says, so what you're saying is the guitar is in constant motion? I see what you're doing there, Brandon. All right, Brian, you have ranked yours, and you are down to your number 1 top John Petrucci guitar moment. So
no, I have 2 left.
I thought you said you had 1.
No.
All right, well, I was wrong.
No,
I was so busy getting banned from my own show with your stupid button clicking.
Just a couple quick comments on yours. Yeah, we just did our deep dive. What was it, 2 episodes ago? So fairly fresh on Systematic Chaos. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
A Constant Motion, we said before, that's, I don't know, it's a sneaky one that you just sort of forget about, and like they don't really play it live too much. And you know, that would be a cool one. You know, this last tour they pulled out a lot of kind of surprises. That'd be a cool one for them to like all of a sudden, hey, let's just pull out Constant Motion. I would definitely dig that. I mean, they've played Dark Eternal Night before a lot of times, but not that I don't want to hear it again. But yeah, so for me, number 2, I have At Wits End.
The end or the whole song?
You know, I love the whole song, but mostly that soaring melodic Neil Schon guitar part that I've talked about 4 million times.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just the perfect like crescendo and ending to a song. And I don't know. I just never saw that part the way it kind of came out of nowhere. I did not expect a guitar just to do that all of a sudden. I don't know. It just totally, the first time I heard it, totally caught me off guard. I was like, wait, what just happened? And yeah, just so many great moments on that. I think I've said before, it's probably my favorite song on Distance Over Time.
Okay.
There's no bad moments on guitar. Like, are there ever any? I mean, you know, let's be honest.
Right.
But yeah, that's just one of those solos that just, you know, it's that one and the number one, of course, the intro for Count of Tuscany. Those two Petrucci guitar moments.
Just the intro?
No, I love the whole song, but I love his electric solo on the intro. Like, I don't know, it's just
okay. I thought you were talking about the clean part. Okay.
No, it's the second that comes in the barrel. Yeah, I don't know, man. The very first time I ever heard that, I was like, that is just so beautifully melodic, perfectly well done, and you know, the phrasing on everything, and just like all of the squawks and harmonics are in the perfect places, and you know, and the sustains are all just, I don't know, it just, those two songs, like I said, the end of that and then that opening solo on Count of Tuscany, those are just the two moments of the notes he plays. And it's not even, I mean, those are just fall out of bed and not even try things for him to play on guitar, you know, or even probably regular guitar players can play those phrases probably fairly easily. It doesn't mean that you can come up with them, you know, and fit them in a song like that. But I don't know, they're just so powerful to me.
Well, I mean, to your point, I mean, we talked about Symphony X for an hour and a half, 2 hours last night. I mean, can you name a Michael Romeo guitar moment like one of those two? Like, I don't think you can. There's not that standout, like, holy shit, listen to this solo. Like, he's a phenomenal guitar player, absolutely phenomenal. But the thing that stands out about John Petrucci is this ability to do all the shred stuff and do all the progressive stuff, but there's this melody to it. And he just has that ability. Like you said, it sounds like he's falling out of bed just doing it so simple, but who else can do it like that? Like the notation is absolutely perfect for the music, and he's got so many of those moments. So, I mean, man, you have a great list, dude. I mean, I think both of our lists, like, we covered a lot of ground. Man.
Wait a minute. Show topic here.
Okay.
Top 10 best Petrucci vocals.
Harrison Miller says, top 10 best Petrucci vocals in 2 weeks? Gibson Les Paul, top 10 my own quotes in 2 short weeks. Oh my God, that's great. Man, so we actually had a couple questions I kind of like to get to here. Sarcasmus Holio brings up something pretty deep dive kind of. John's song Lost Without You, it's a live B-side from, I think, Mind Control, live bootleg from the early 90s, is awesome. I have not seen that. So if you can link that to our YouTube page, Sarcasmo, do that, because I have not seen that. Nick Brayman, he says, interesting you think The Mirror and Lie aren't quote-unquote technical or complex enough, but how is Dark Eternal Night different? I'm kind of surprised you're asking that, Nick, because I think it's kind of obvious. The guitars are all over the map in Dark Eternal Night. Granted, it's still heavy and everything, but I mean, you're talking about, I mean, if you just want to go like riff for riff, you know, Dark Eternal Night. It's all that walking around the mirror. Ugh, 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 ugh. I mean, you got that, and then Lies. So if you're just taking the main riff, you know, Dark Eternal Night wins right there, and then the rest of the song just is more of the same. So, I mean, do you agree with me on that one, Brian? I think it's a little obvious.
Yeah.
No offense, Nick, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so too. They're pretty simple guitar lines in those two songs, and they're only like 3.5, 4 minutes or whatever they are, 4.5 minutes, I guess.
well, they're longer than that. But I mean, to your point, they're way shorter than Dark Eternal Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, they don't, and then, like you said, just if you're just looking at the riff alone, it's like way more things going on, and you know, heavier too, is in my opinion.
Okay. Brandon Shuttleworth, he says, I was waiting for a Count of Tuscany. I knew Brian was going to have that on his list. It's one of your go-tos. So,
We're going to officially retire all Count of Tuscany talk after this week. Everyone's growing weary of it, including me. I didn't even put it as my number one on that last one. I was so tired of it.
That's hilarious. Cale McLeish, he says, wait, no one had Lines in the Sand or Spirit Carries On or Octavarium? Excellent choices, Cale. But again, you know, as much as we were joking, like you could literally just completely go anywhere you want with this list because there's a Petrucci moment, almost anything that kind of stands out. So I think, you know, and you know, I'd like to get your input on this, on this one, Brian. But you know, for me, it was okay. What is like really memorable? What really stands out? Like I kind of started to think of Petrucci moments without listening to the music first, and I wrote things down like, oh yeah, that, oh yeah, that, and then I went and listened to it like, yeah, we'll see, and then I kind of went through the catalog and tried to find other things, but I really went with something that really just came off the top of my head without having heard anything. How did you come up with your list?
Yeah, I mean, I told you before about, I think when I first discovered the ending part of At Wits End, and like, so I knew that was a no-brainer. I already kind of had it in there. I don't know. I didn't think too long and hard about it. Like I think the hardest part was like, okay, I got to get something off of Images, but like in going through, what's the stuff that really like, oh, okay, well this really, you know, they really changed it up here a little bit, or they did some different stuff here, or you know, that may be easy to take the opening riff on, you know, Pull Me Under or something. I mean, it's an awesome killer riff, right? You know, I mean, it's what starts the whole damn saga of how they became what they became. But yeah, you know, I mean, just stuff that like just sort of touches you emotionally and just makes you feel good when you hear it, you know, and no matter how many times you hear it, you still feel good. You're like, oh man, there comes the riff, you know, or here comes the solo, or here comes the part where he's going to do this and that, and just, you know, what do I really feel when I hear that sort of stuff, and
yep,
and how can I put that into words to explain it, you know, on a show like this that, you know, that kind of makes some sense, so we can share it the way that we do, you know.
Sure. All right, so Gibson Les Paul asks, okay, we got your favorite moments, but what about tone? What's your all-time favorite Petrucci tone? For me, it's Distance Over Time. Oh, man. That's a great starting point. Man, it's kind of hard to get a better tone than Distance Over Time.
I think I'd agree with that. I'd take Distance Over Time probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I think that might be the one. Honestly, though, I think it's a tie for me, and call me a fanboy for this record, whatever. Man, Falling Into Infinity, it's just, and it might be the way that it fits into the rest of the mix. I think that might be it, but there's something a little bit more wet about the tone, a little just fatter and not as metal, but it's still just this giant tone. And man, that record, dude, I love the songs. I love the sound. I love the mix. So that's a difficult one. So, I mean, but if I were to take Falling Into Infinity out for obvious reasons, man, I can't, I don't think we can top, you know, Distance Over Time.
I'd probably go Systematic Chaos second.
That's
I
a
don't
good
know.
choice.
It had a real, I guess, a fairly processed, maybe almost 80s tone a lot of the time, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love guitars that sound like that, that like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, just kind of sing when they're sort of mixed and polished up like that. I'm fine with it. I mean, I probably would have, yeah, I think Systematic Chaos, I probably would have it too.
Here's one I totally forgot. Nick Brayman, he likes Train of Thought, but he says, or 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Yes, that is an awesome one too. That is a fat guitar tone. Good call on that one, Nick. That's a very good one. That's a very good one. Gibson says Train of Thought is way too scooped, in my opinion. Gibson, what's your take on that, Brian? Because like I don't think it's scooped. I just think it's really dry. There is not a lot of reverb on that record. That is a very very direct listen. It's very kind of like Eddie Van Halen used to say, I don't want my guitar tone to be like chucking razor blades at your head. And I think Train of Thought kind of has that direct, like really aggressive, nasty kind of tone to it.
It's probably my least favorite mixed of the albums. I can never know exactly how to describe it, but I don't know. It just, I've talked before about how, Jordan was pushed so far in the background that, okay, well, let's try to get a super dirty organ that sounds like a guitar, and it's cool, but at the same time, like I can't tell what's what, and I'm not saying that's bad, I guess, but at the same time, the mix on it is it's just kind of weird. And I don't know. The other one I think is Black Clouds. Like some of the mixes in general on that album are sort of kind of all over the place, like from song to song, even in my opinion. Like I don't know, there's something kind of weird about it. As much as I like, the songs on there, the mix is sort of funky. I think we've talked about it before too. I would say those two are the two, if you're just talking about from an actual mix standpoint, like how they kind of sound. Like I don't know, I don't think it's quite as up to the rest of the catalog, in my opinion.
Okay. Our buddy JG3 is here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for checking in, man. Let's get to something, Brian, that was not on either of our lists, and I think it pretty much surprised everybody that's in the chat right now. And I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised neither of us have this one. The live Hollow Years solo from Budokan. That is one that it killed me to not put on this list. And I have to admit that it was so obvious that I think I might have purposely left it off. But that is an excellent, excellent choice. That is, at least live, that is definitely John Petrucci's finest moment. The very first time I actually saw them do it live, and I was like, oh my God, this, because Hollow Years is like one of my all-time favorite Dream Theater songs. And then see that extended solo part, like that was just incredible. I mean, have you ever seen that live?
I think you told me about it, and I went back and watched it on YouTube. So I've seen it maybe twice. So it wouldn't have really been on my radar to put in this. I love the song, though. I've said before, it's one of my favorite vocal performances. So if you guys are saying it's awesome guitar, then I'm sure obviously it is. And like I said, I saw it before, but it wasn't probably going to make my list.
Oh, yeah. Well, go back and listen to it, dude. I think you'll find something you'll really enjoy in there. Joe Gebhardt's here. What's up, man? Good to see you. He says, live at Luna Park guitar solo. Does that count? If you're writing your own list, man, it definitely counts. We're talking anything in Dream Theater, so that would count. We did not have that one. So, yeah, that good live guitar solos can count. I think Brian and I both just kept it to actual song parts and stuff like that, because otherwise, like, how are you going to rank, John's, live guitar solos? Because for me, one of the ones I would have put on here would have been Chaos in Motion, like the live CDs that they put out, like when they did Surrounded and they did that Pink Floyd solo at the end of Surrounded. And I didn't
Okay.
know it was Pink Floyd, which killed me when I was like, I love this. It's like one of the most beautiful things he's done. And someone's like, that's Pink Floyd. I was like, ah, shit. Like, because I can't stand Pink Floyd. It's like, damn it, I just liked something Pink Floyd did. So
Yeah, it's funny, like going back now, like they were talking about the last, so we had done this, I don't know how, let's see, when did we do the original show? Was last, how long before the new album came out was it? I'm trying to figure. Was it in the summer of last year?
yeah, it was summer because it was hotter than hell up here.
Yeah, okay.
So
I think if I redid it, I would put Transcending Time on. You know, the more you guys start talking about it, I'm like, man, I do love that riff. It's a super cool, fun, feel good riff. I could probably just, like, I mean, do I need to have Metropolis on here for this exercise? Probably not. We already know it's awesome. You know, or I could have started my you know, my ban of Count of Tuscany. I'm gonna put myself on like a self-imposed ban for a while, talking about it or playing it and stuff. I just need a break from it.
you need to have gorilla farts ready to go. So in the case you ever mention Count of Tuscany again, you have to do a gorilla fart.
Yeah. But yeah. So what did you say before? What would be the closest from the new album that would make it on here? I don't think you said.
For me, God, that's a tough one.
Maybe Awaken the Master for you, or no?
No, I mean, that one's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's a great song and it's cool to hear the 8-string and everything, but man, the difficult thing for me with the new record is that it feels like one giant piece of music that was kind of chopped into pieces. Something that always stands out to me, man, damn it, you put me on the spot.
All right, while you're contemplating that, this is an obvious one that we missed. Wait, not that one. Wrong one.
You're awesome at leading the show.
Yeah, there we go. Did Barstool Warrior make you the list? No, and it probably should have.
Yes.
Awesome.
JG3, great question. Yeah, that was a close one for me. But yeah, again, this is stuff that, like, for me, I just I got this instant feel off of it. I'm like, yeah, like that's, you know, man, what is, God, I'm drawing a blank. What's track 2 on the new record? I'm just drawing a complete blank with song titles for some reason. I know it's.
Hang on, let me pull it up.
God, we suck at this. But anyways,
it's probably the one that I don't like that much.
I love that song. Yeah, thank you. I knew it started with an A. Thank you.
Okay, no, I do like that one.
Yeah, dude, something about that just like like, so that one kind of stands out to me. So if I had to pick one off the new record, I think it'd be Answering the Call. Although there are a lot of you know, a lot of good moments on there though.
The one that you like that I'm not a fan of is Sleeping Giant.
No, I love Sleeping Giant.
I thought maybe you might pick that.
No, I
know
like
you
that.
Like it. I said I'm not a fan of it though.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, misunderstood. Yeah, no, man, dude, the new record again. It keeps growing on me, man. Like, it you know, we've said it before. Wayne said it's a grower, dude. It'll grow on you, and boy, it does. It really does. So, before we get out of here, we do have to address a couple real quick things. Again, Brian and I were on an episode of an excellent music podcast last night called Discography Discussion. Just Google it. I think that was episode 230 something that they've done. And they pick a band and they go through the entire discography of that band. And it is really entertaining. Joe and Dan do a phenomenal job with the show. And we had a blast, man. Brian is a big Symphony X fan. And I had only ever heard Paradise Lost. So I went through the entire, catalog, and I was like, okay. So when that comes out, like a week or two, check that out because it was a really, really good time. So we had a blast doing that. And, man, what can we say about our interview with Paul Logue, dude? That was that was unreal. That was unreal.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I have to tell everyone what you did to me yesterday.
Yeah. Well, let me set it up real quick. Okay. So,
okay, go ahead.
So our buddy Chris Aiken, who runs the CMS network, and he, love him to death. He's one of my very best friends in life. He's the one that hooked us up with the Paul Logue interview and stuff, and he does an awesome show every Saturday from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time called The Classic Metal Show. It's been around for like 25 years. Great show. And he's got all these connections and stuff. Well, he recently interviewed Michael Romeo from Symphony X. So when we got asked to do the Symphony X episode of Discography Discussion, he said, hey, do you want me to try and get Michael on the show? And I was like, hell yeah, we'll go through the whole discography with Michael Romeo. So he hit up Michael, and we never heard back whether or not it was confirmed. So Brian and show host Joe weren't sure if he was coming on. So Brian, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so I never heard from John. All of a sudden, the next morning, I get this, no, dude, but Russell Allen's coming on. Russell Allen, lead singer, one of the greatest metal singers that there is going right now, and as far as I'm concerned, of all time. Russell Allen's going to be on. Of all the times my text didn't go through to you.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here freaking out. Like, I've been a huge fan since 2005. So I'm really well versed on the last 3 albums and the live album, and probably the last 4, Odyssey included. But the first 3 or 4, I was not all that clued in on. So I went back, busted my ass. I mean, I literally have notes on every single album, every song. I have like 104 song notes if you count them all up, probably more. And like an analysis of the albums in whole, in whole in general. And production and producers and when they came out, and the first thing that happens is John says, "Oh yeah, no, he's not going to be on here." I mean, even your buddy was fooled.
No, he was not fooled.
Oh, was he in on the joke?
He was in on the joke.
Oh, he's from St. Louis too, and so am I. I got to get him back. See, I didn't know he was in on it. That's really cool.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna have to get John back, and I need you guys to I don't know, you're gonna have to hit me up directly on Facebook, like private message me on my own Facebook account, so John doesn't see. But we've got to figure out a way to get John back.
I was in an absolute shit mood yesterday. Like, I was spitting nails, man. And Brian and I were going back and forth about doing discography discussion last night, and he said, by the way, is Michael Romeo coming on? And I was like, no. And just something popped in my head. I'm like, man, I could totally mess with him right now. And I was like, no. I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't get my text last night? And he says, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, seriously, of all texts not to go through, you didn't get this one? He says, what? I said, no, we didn't get Michael Romeo, but Russell Allen's coming on. Like, I immediately felt bad because you got all excited. But then I was like, it was so funny you got so excited, I couldn't stop. And I will admit, the reason is because had you pulled that on me and I fell for it, that hook, line, and sinker, you would not have stopped the joke either. You would have kept it rolling on me. So I don't feel that bad. But I did call Joe on the way home, and I was like, hey, Joe, so check this out. This is what I told Brian. So we get on to start recording the show, and I'm like, hey, when is Russell coming on? Yada yada. And it went maybe 5 minutes, and Joe just slipped and said something. Brian's like, wait, he's not coming on the show. I'm like, no, he's like, were you messing with me? I'm like, yeah, I was messing with you. So Brian owes me big time for that one. That was bad.
I'm just glad I didn't like blast it all over our well, it probably would have been hilarious to you if I started posting it all over our page and stuff. Like, hey, we're talking to Russell Allen.
Well, at least you could have posted it, since I'm in Facebook jail again.
Well, that's true. You wouldn't even be able to stop.
I couldn't even defend myself.
But yeah, I messaged my one buddy, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's awesome! Let me know when it's done. I want to listen to it and stuff." And
yep.
So anyway, you did get me. I appreciated it. It was funny.
Yes. So again, before we get out of here, we have to send out massive thanks to Paul Logue of Eden's Curse. He is the co-writer for James LaBrie's new solo record, A Beautiful Shade of Grey, which comes out on May 20th. If you guys have not heard the interview, we were doing a pre-record last Sunday, and we were like, yeah, let's just record, or 2 Sundays ago, excuse me, and yeah, we'll do kind of like a 2-parter episode. We're going to do the interview, play it on a future episode, and then do our album deep dive. Well, Paul ends up saying, hey, if you're, I would love to come back on the show once the record's out. I would love to get your guys' opinion on it. And we said, sweet, let's do it. So let's do an album deep dive. So Paul is going to be coming back onto the show to do a deep dive into James's record, and the date that we have set for that is Saturday, June 25th. So we're still trying to confirm a time, but it's going to be a special episode. It is going to be in the afternoon, probably 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. And Brian, I like, all we can say is we would highly recommend that you guys pay attention to our social media channels and make plans to take part in that show, because it was an amazing conversation with Paul. It was actually, talking to him before the interview that was recorded and after was almost better than the actual interview we recorded. But again, don't do what you did last night, Brian, but we just need to tell everybody, pay attention to our social media channels and make sure to tune in to the very special Talking Into Infinity June 25th episode. That's just, we'll leave it at that.
I will say that interview with Paul was so amazing that not only before we did it, but after, one James Labrie actually gave us a shout out on his Twitter feed.
Well, at his Facebook page.
Was it the Facebook page? No, I thought it was Twitter.
No, it was Facebook.
Okay,
yeah,
Facebook page. Sorry.
Yeah, he promoted the fact that Paul was coming on our show. We were like, holy crap! And then a couple days later, he actually reposted and said, hey, check out Paul Logue on the, he said, the excellent Talking Into Infinity podcast. So yeah, it was it's a minor thing in the long in the long run, it's a minor thing, I guess, and it's small potatoes for most people. But for us to have the lead singer of our favorite band shout us out was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So it was just a really cool moment for us. And again, Saturday, June 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just put that in your calendars. And pay attention to our social media pages. We will have Paul Logue on to discuss the James Labrie record, but that might turn into a pretty special episode, I would say, Brian. So we'll, just keep an eye on us and, what we're doing, and we'll kind of let you in on some things. That's I think that's the best way to phrase it. So, and I will say this, we did hear a few snippets of some music after the interview, and dude, this new James record is kick ass. It is really cool. It is really, really cool. Paul said it in the interview, and I think he's dead on, Brian. If you like the melodic side of James's voice, when he's really in his wheelhouse with the melodies and just that beautiful tone that he can get, this is definitely the record for you. So I cannot wait to hear the whole thing. So
even though
he said
awesome. He told us not to record it, I did. I'm going to play it, but I'm going to put myself on mute so no one can hear it.
Nice. Dude, if he ever hears this, he's going to be like, whoa, and then there goes June 25th.
Wasn't that amazing? Well, I know you couldn't hear it, but
right.
Yeah, no, how cool was that? Like, oh, hang on. If you guys got a few minutes, just promise not to record it. I'll play you some really cool stuff on here. Can you imagine going to your computer? Oh yeah, let's see. I just recorded James Labrie. Let me pull this up here. Like,
yeah,
let's play it for two morons in Cleveland. Like, what? Why? Like, I mean, we hit like the music like lottery on this thing so far for something that's just been kind of a goof and like,
yep.
Not to like, get sappy, but man, how cool, it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I sit around and think about it. I just like on cloud nine, like the stuff that we've done. And again, all you guys listening, paying attention, interacting, the show is zero without you. So I want to give you guys all the credit, because without all that stuff, we would not get things like the Paul Logue interview and get to hear songs from James' solo album. That's just a fact.
Yep. Well, I did pour myself one drink for tonight. I was gonna do this to the Dream Theater Grammy win, but Brian, I'm gonna change that up. Like, here's to the Grammy win, but here's to all our fans in the chat and everybody that's downloading the show and everything. Appreciate you guys very much. This is not a gorilla fart, by the way, for those of you just listening to the audio. It's just Tito's vodka. So, but there will be gorilla farts in the future. So,
you're truly one of a kind.
I see what you did there. So, real quick, before we get out of here, Gibson Les Paul asks, better than Elements of Persuasion? It is a different style, Gibson. It's the Brian, see if you agree with me on this. I would call it aggressive acoustic, because imagine like straight up rock songs or heavy tunes, but play it all on acoustic instruments instead of like the electrified stuff, and I think that's what you get. I think Paul said that he has, I think it was 36 tracks of acoustic guitars on this stuff. So yeah, Gibson, I would say from what we heard, it's different because, Elements is obviously just, punishing in its heaviness in a lot of places. I would say that to me, it's really cool. And this is something I really want to get into with Paul again. It's, James has the Mo Muzzler stuff, which is kind of like funky and bluesy and rockish and stuff. And then he's got, the last 3 solo records, which are just heavy and just in your face, just punishing metal. And this one is different from all of that stuff because it's like, again, aggressive acoustic. I mean, his solo stuff is really, he covers a lot of ground. And I think this is a perfect addition to, his acoustic, or excuse me, his collection of solo records, man. It's something different, but it's still totally James. Would you agree with that?
Definitely the first song we heard and the snippets that Paul was playing are definitely different. But yeah, it's just going to be hard to, we just got to sit down and just hear the whole album before we can really make a lot of grand statements. But no, I don't think it sounds anything like Elements of Persuasion, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all either. Yep. I think that's probably honestly a good thing.
JG3, is John live from the Masters? Gibson Les Paul, John Shooter McGavin Drake. I do play golf. I do play golf. So
sitting here at Amen Corner and Sergio Garcia just
look at this. Look at this. Before we jump out of here, our buddy Joe from Discography Discussion, he actually tuned in for a quick second. He says, after last night's chat, you two know exactly what the greatest guitar moment is. Soft spot in my heart for the solo in Yitze Jam. So there you go, man. Joe, we did pimp out the episode, so if you know when the Symphony X episode with Brian and I is going to be released, let us know so we can announce it. But yeah, so look at this, JG3. He says the G stands for golf. I started golfing when I was 6. Jay, I started when I was 7, dude. I've been playing 39 years, so there you go. All right, Brian, so final thought here.
I'm going to show this real quick. It says, Brian, can you sing some of James' new stuff back to us right now? So here I go.
I put himself on mute again. Nice. That's fantastic.
Now, I don't know if you heard that or not, but it sounded really good to me. Of course, I'm pretty drunk right now.
Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you all for checking out the show. Joe from Discography Discussion, which, again, guys, is a fantastic music podcast you have to check out. They're at over 230 episodes. There's some bands you haven't even thought of that they go through their discography. Brian and I, again, we did a full episode last night going through the entire history of Symphony X, and Joe says that it will be available on Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure to Google Discography Discussion, and while you're there, sign up to be a patron sponsor there, because Patreon, that's how they pay the bills, man. So give those guys some money. I, myself, am a Patreon sponsor over there, so I'm at the highest level. It's only $5 a month, and you get some kick-ass bonus content there. And if you sign up to be a Patreon subscriber, some of the bonus content, you might just get me on there here and there. So there's a little plug for Joe there. Appreciate it. Discuss Metal, Joe. You are the man. Thank you so much for having us on. Cale McLeish, Harrison Miller. Man, JG3, Gibson Les Paul, Nick Brayman, Brandon Shuttleworth, that Alexander guy who got shot down. Man, Robert Reames, Robert Husted, thank you so much to all you guys for checking out the show again. We appreciate it very much. We will be back live on Facebook next time after Facebook decides to stop being a dick and putting me in Facebook jail for no reason whatsoever. Brian, another amazing show. Appreciate it very much. And yeah, we will be back here in 2 weeks. It will be Thursday, April 21st. And Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. Check us out at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys have an idea for the show, just email talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com and follow us at TIIDT Podcast on Twitter, or just go to our Facebook page. Follow us there. You can find anything you want. And again, love to see you guys here, man. Much appreciated. As Brian said, you guys make the show go. So, Brian, appreciate you very much, man. And guys, we will see you in a couple weeks. Take care, y'all.